Hello everyone, my name is Lowko and welcome to a best of 5 series of top level StarCraft 2. What I've got for you today is a Zerg versus Terran, where in game number 1 we find ourselves on a map with the beautiful neon violet squares. At least I'm assuming that's what the name of the map, well, is based on. Spawning right here in the top left hand corner. Playing with the blue Zerg drones, we have none other than Reynor. And his opponent down in the bottom right with the red SCVs. Somebody I haven't featured on the channel in a little bit. So I'm excited to find out exactly where he is currently at. We're looking at Spirit's main command center. Now, last time I watched Spirit play, he was playing very macro focused. And this is a map that is very macro focused. We'll have to see exactly what his current tendencies are, but he's already heading on over towards the bottom right-hand corner. It looks to me like he wants to build another command center. Sure. Why the heck not, huh? Why would you not just go ahead and build a third command center before ever putting down a factory? Obviously, the odds of Zerg going for an all-in are not zero, but in a match like this, I do certainly favor Reynor. Reynor is just simply the more accomplished tournament player over all these years of StarCraft 2. And he's very dangerous. Now, luckily here for Spirit, yeah, he's playing a greedy build, but his opponent is also likewise playing a greedy build. And maybe I should say actually luckily for Reynor, because he's decided to open up triple hatch before any sort of gas geyser. Huh. Do we ever go for any gas, or are we... Really? 4 hatch before gas? Wow. Okay, so these two are bluffing. This is actually getting to the point right now where it's kind of dumb. Add another command center, dude. Is he gonna add a 4th command center too? They don't actually know this information about one another. He's going for a 4th CC. This is a 4th command center, I think. Before a starport? I mean, that's the only reason this SCV would be sitting here. 3rd command center just finished up. I mean, yeah. All these other tech structures, right? Like the orbital and making a bunch of Hellions and all that. It's really cutting into his mineral production, but there we go. It is indeed going to be a 4th CC. Why otherwise would that SCV be sitting there? So these two believe that they are out-strategizing and out-greeding the other without really having any information about what the opponent is doing. So this is a bit dumb. We're basically, yeah, we're just skipping the entire early game. 4 minutes into it is when we have the first 2 Hellions out. At this point in the game, there's 0 Zerglings. And there's 2 Hellions and 3 Marines. Yeah. If StarCraft 2 had a game mode, like 15 minutes, no rush, this would be the type of builds that everybody would play. I love it, though. So this is very much so Reynor reacting to Spirit. Spirit is known as somebody who likes playing long games. That's what he's always done. That's what he's... Well, he kind of shied away from it for a little while, but historically, at least, he's always been a fan of just playing long, drawn-out macro maps. Whenever he's playing and he's ahead, he will, rather than going for an all-in, he will rather add on another command center. And then another command center. And then another command center. Why win when you can play tower defense in SimCity instead? To be fair, it is a very viable playstyle. I know there's some people out there that don't really like that style. They're like, yo, just go kill him, bro. Why are you not doing it? Just go kill... Honestly, there is no quote-unquote wrong way to play StarCraft, right? Like, everything is fair in a game of StarCraft 2, as long as you're not using outside help in the form of, like, you know, any sort of cheats or anything like that. Within the game itself, anything is fine. If you want to lift your command center, fly it to the corner of the map, force your opponent to make a corruptor, right? Like, yeah, that's a jerk move, but it's a legitimate play. So, if Spirit enjoys playing the macro game and playing it as safe as possible, taking 0 risks whatsoever, I honestly don't mind it. Maybe it would be frustrating if everybody did, right? Like if every single game of StarCraft 2 would take an hour. But yeah, I honestly don't mind the way that Spirit plays it. And obviously, it is totally okay. Now, Allaire is finally coming. We have Link Speed finally coming too. There is a Baneling Nest. We are going into double upgrades too. Yeah, I think both of them have now started realizing what the opponent has gone for. Obviously, Neon Violet, it's the only map in the current map pool that has this nice tucked away expansion. There is, I guess, a chance that Reynor is going to scout the timing of this expansion on the low ground and assume that this is the 3rd, when in fact it is the 4th base. But honestly, at this phase in Reynor's game plan, it doesn't really matter because he's already sitting at 80 plus workers himself. He's already 6 minutes into it, fully maxed out when it comes to the worker count. Now we're going into Spire. Now that is a little weird, because all of this is very slow because he spent so much money on just building up the tech. To now go into Aspire? Last time I saw Reynor playing Mutas, he was actually going for a 2-base Muta opener. So those Mutas would have already been out like 2 minutes ago. Now he's building Aspire at this point in time, but he's doing it off of a massive economy. So this could actually be mass Muta play? Like full Mutaling Bane? We'll have to keep an eye out on exactly what the game plan is. Either way, for now, Spirit is just sitting here, building up his own worker count. Reynor, by the way, not satisfied with 80 drones. He's already gone up to 92. 1-1 finishing up. We already have 1-1 done on the other side of the map. Spirit now saving up some gas to be able to go into the second engine bay upgrade. He's also planted down his 5th command center. Okay. This is a weird gentleman's agreement. This is a full-on agreement that we are not gonna do anything to one another. Imagine any sort of a real committed attack. I mean, neither of them would have survived, but because they both know the tendencies of the opponent, they're trying to not so much like play against the opponent, right, or the matchup. They're not really playing the map or the matchup. They're very much so playing the opponent here instead. 15 Mutas, all in one go. Reynor saved up his Christmas minerals. It's recently been his birthday. Grandma gave him some Vespine gas. He spent his entire piggy bank all in one go and got 15 Mutalisks. I mean, I don't know if Spirit is really prepared for it, but he's gonna be building Marines at this phase in the game. No Thor play or anything like that, but this should be quite good. Those Mutas, though, are mostly just used as a base defense tool for now. Sniping any sort of Metavex play. 98 workers, by the way, here for Reynor. So he's quite literally aiming for triple digits worth of workers just to get a stupid amount of income. +1 air weapons, by the way, is also about halfway done. He's dodging the sensor tower for now. With this many Mutas, though, one silly little missile turret, one silly little man in the missile turret is not going to do much. Indeed, it's going to get targeted immediately. SCVs wanted to go for the repair. Let's just say, though, that Spirit is more than capable of losing some workers at this phase. It really does not matter. Yeah, 10 SCVs looks painful, but Spirit is still sitting at 69. Nice. Oh, frick. Nice. I messed it up. Anyway, he's going to be able to, with this many command centers, very quickly rebuild all of it. Thor is coming up. Additional command centers are coming up. Losing 10 workers at minute 6 is a problem. Using them or losing them, though, at minute 9, nearly minute 10, right? It's not that big of a deal when you already have so many command centers. And this is really the first time that Reynor figures out what he's actually playing against. I think he's only just now really truly seen that his opponent is indeed playing a hyper greedy Terran playstyle. I honestly think the age of the Muta is already almost over. I mean, Reynor decides to go +2. He goes into +2 right now and more Muta production. Thors are coming. Ghosts are coming. Tower defense? Yeah. You know what? It's not entirely inaccurate. There's a lot of arcade maps in StarCraft 2. It's the only way to win. All right, buddy. Sure. I've seen a lot of games from Taran lately where they have multiple ways to win. Anyways. There's a lot of custom games in StarCraft 2, Warcraft 3, any sort of game that features arcade maps, right? There's a lot of ways that you can play tower defense, but apparently you can also do it in a 1v1 in StarCraft 2. Well, here we go to Mutaling Bane. Planetary Fortress is gonna get sniped, but I don't think it really matters much. A new command center is already ready to take its place. This time around, it's even going to be an orbital. No, he decides to land that orbital next to it and just build another CC over here instead. Fair enough. Reynor is gooping up the entire map in creep. He's taking every base that he would like. Is this going to be, though, a Terran player that he can break? Oh my god, Spirit. So wait, we have... This is command center number 12. Considering he's lost one, we have more command centers per minute than one. Like, we have we have more CCs than we have had minutes in this game. That's insane. I have... He's literally playing City Skylines or whatever city builder you like these days. If this was Timberborn, one of my personal favorite city builders, he'd be preparing for the flood right now. This might honestly be a record. 4 command centers on the production tab right now. He's got 3 already done, 6 here, and he lost 1. We have so many freaking command centers. Second Spire coming up here too for Reynor, who probably wants to go double Muta production. Double Spire upgrades, that is. He's taken every single base that is possibly mineable. Maybe he can still add this one into the mix. Look at the amount of orbitals. He's adding on more. Wait, so that we have 9 orbital commands. 2 command centers over here that still are morphing in. And then 3 additional command centers on the production tab. There's the building armor. This is the most necessary building armor research I've ever seen. Tactical nuke? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out what the game plan here for Spirit is. I mean, I kind of introduced him as somebody who likes sitting there for literally an hour. I feel like, yeah, this is probably the win condition. Try to just slowly expand. Now, obviously, the maps in StarCraft 2 have a finite amount of minerals, right? There's just not an infinite amount of mining you can really do. So if Reynor here can take one of the bases that quote-unquote would be like Spirits, the one that Spirit is normally going to be able to get, Liberators? Liberators with their splash damage, trying to pretend to be Valkyries. Oh, these are upgraded Mutas, but they still don't stand a chance. Reynor thought he could fly in there. He's not going to see the amount of command centers, and this is where he would probably shake his head. Because this is insanity. Just pretty much impossible to break. Reynor can make whatever army he likes. He can make whatever unit he prefers. He has money for days, but I don't think he's going to be able to crack this turtle anytime soon. Yeah. Spirit has been reading strategic handbooks on how to be a defensive player. And one of the things that you apparently have to do is build a wall. Isn't that beautiful? Yeah. He's building a wall, and he's making the Zerg player pay for it. Now, there is a weird problem, though. At some point, you built too many command centers. Jokes aside, there is an upper limit. He's building more right now, but when you make 20 command centers, that is like 8,000 minerals and then some, right? Like, all of the orbital commands are 150 minerals each too. The planetaries are obviously not free. You at some point spent north of like 10,000 resources on building command centers alone, which is not that useful in the ultimate end game. Like, that's pretty much an entire base worth of resources on infrastructure, and that is only command centers. That does not include anything else. Reynor's going to be able to deny this repeatedly over and over and over again. He's already taking bases here that normally, like, he's got the top right over here, and then he's also got the bottom left. He's now taking this expansion over here. I wouldn't mind seeing him transfer drones on over in this direction. Once the entire map mines out, what in the world can Spirit really do about it? Like, in my mind, this is a great win condition for Spirit if the opponent is not hardcore prepared for it. But Reynor clearly went into this match with the full intention of playing against this style, right? He completely was prepared for that sort of thing. I love the Nidus Worm here in the back. That's quite nice. He can start working on some of those hatcheries that are out on the map, I suppose. Reynor should be able to really quickly, though, rebuild this. Because it's hard here for Spirit to really go for a push. If he decides to go for a move out right now and commit all of his army towards the left side of the map, Zerg will engage him on the right. The creep spread is basically already covering, like, what? 75% of the map, maybe? Maybe a little less. But it's a significant amount. He's got to go into Terran mech as well now. We have a fusion core coming up. I'm a little afraid that Spirit is playing this build that in theory is amazing, but in the long run, just runs out of cash. The Zerg mobility is obviously still a really big thing here. Now, of course, Reynor is never going to get favorable traits. This type of army, by default, does not trade well. At least not cost efficiency-wise. So, yeah, he's already lost way more minerals and way more gas here than Spirit. But he's making up for that by just mining a stupid amount more, and also taking resources that Spirit is never going to be able to mine. Spirit is gonna have to trade probably about twice cost efficiency. At this point, he actually is not trading well enough to really justify his build. Which is weird, because he's trading phenomenally well. It's just really, really slow. This entire playstyle is kind of ridiculous. Well, there's the ranged upgrade for the Liberators coming up. We have the Medevac energy improvement also on the horizon. +3 air weapons coming up. I guess there's going to be a moment where Spirit is going to give up on most of his SCVs. Just use SCVs for gas mining, but he can do all of his mining here with mules, easy peasy as far as the mineral income goes. And just build a full bulldozer of a Terran army. He's building more command centers. Like, he's adding on 3 more. I don't know what the upper limit of command centers is. I kind of feel like if you go over 15, you're risking it. Now, that is just a number that I'm pulling out of thin air. It's just that there is an awkward moment where you've actually built too many command centers. Like, yeah, technically, you can mine for eternity, but realistically, there's only so many mineral fields available on the map. Look at Reynor's bank, by the way. 20,000 resources. 18 minutes into the game, he's got 20,000 resources in the bank. Like, as I'm casting this, I can almost guarantee you there's a Gold League match going on as I speak. Where at the 18 mark, or the 18-minute mark, both players have just taken their 3rd base. 18 minutes in, this entire map is already getting to a point where it's starting to run low, dude. Okay, maybe that's a little early, but this game is going on so... We're only 18 minutes, almost 19 minutes in. The entire map is already mining. So Reynor's win condition is to basically crush his opponent just by the sheer amount of stuff that he can make. Don't care about cost efficiency too much. Just send in the least efficient units, because at some point Taran is gonna have to make a move. And maybe that move is right now. Spirit is gonna have to engage off creep. He's already lowering his SCV count, by the way. Full tower defense. Look at the mules, by the way. They just timed out over here. Yep. So S-Spirit is committing his army to the bottom left to try and take this base. Reynor is committing his army to the right. And that's another planetary fortress down the drain. Now, what I do quite like here from Spirit is that he's actually putting a planetary fortress over here. Oh, tactical nuke to defend? A defensive tactical nuke against Zerglings? Okay. Well, maybe changelings. I mean, these are super dead changelings. They were just about to time out anyways. But Happy New Year to everybody. Spirit is building a planetary fortress. He's now built a planetary fortress on the low ground here. This is not normally a spot that we see planetaries, but he's effectively... You know how people usually use siege tanks, where you unsiege the one in the back and then leapfrog them forward one at a time? Spirit is doing that with planetaries. He's got like a trail of planetaries that he's leaving behind. Once more though, Lingbane trying to slip through the cracks. This planetary is extremely well protected. Remember one of the main goals? Whenever I see games like this, I always think back of one of the main goals that the Balance Council announced when they first were talking about a new patch. And they removed 1 armor out of the planetary fortress, which would supposedly reduce the amount of turtling that would happen in the game. Evidently, you can still turtle. And you know what? This base over here is going to get secured eventually. I think this is really fun to watch. because it only happens once in a blue moon. I secretly hope that Reynor crushes Spirit here in the end, because if every game of StarCraft would look like this, I think it would get old very quick. He's actually pushing out on the map. Another nuke. What? There's nothing going on here, Spirit! This is just to force some APM. I guess to maybe kill a bunch of those. Yeah, okay. He's killing the base over here. Kill a bunch of the larva. Sorry about that, little larva. Spirit is actually making this work, though. I'm actually starting to get a little nervous here for Reynor. This looked like one of those games that was practically unlosable for Reynor. But now that Spirit is taking up the expansions here on the left side of the map, yeah, the Zerg player mined them for a little bit, but a lot of the minerals are still intact. He can take this expansion over here, too. This base over there is back in action. If Spirit keeps this base around, and he secures this expansion over here, or at the very least denies it from the Zerg, he's got 50% of the map. He will literally have half the map. And considering the cost efficiency here, I guess you gotta subtract the amount of resources that he spent on, well, 1 billion command centers here, but if he can secure half of the map, I think that's a win for the Terran. What are we watching right now? Okay, so let's think about what Zerg can do here. One of the obvious answers that you would imagine would be great in this type of spot is something like Broodlord Infestor, right? The problem with Broodlord Infestor is that it's slow. The Terran army is probably faster than Broodlord Infestor, and Reynor would have to really commit to fighting one side of the map. Alternatively, what can you really go for? I guess Hydra Lurker would be a viable choice. You could go into maybe Ultralisks, but I kind of see where Reynor is coming from with this type of army. Maybe you can mix it Infestors instead, using the lunge ability now on the Hydras to try and catch up a little quicker to this Terran army. Yeah, another CC will fall, it seems, or at the very least it's burning dangerously low to 0 hit points. Spirit now also at over 10,000 minerals in the bank. He sent a bunch of blue flame boys towards the top right-hand corner. Liberator now sieging up to deny another expansion over there. Planetary, though, in the bottom left is gonna go down. And I think this is good movement here by Reynor. The fact that he's denying these 2 bases from the Terran is the most important thing he can really do. Now, cost efficiency-wise, he's only got about a 10,000 mineral advantage. Honestly, not enough. Yet. Oh, he was waiting. Catches the SCV transfer. It was only 7. You can't really tell there as a Zerg how many there really were. I don't even know if that was truly worth it, but I do think maybe having the potential, though, to suddenly whip out Broodlord Infestor here is the right call. We've had all these upgrades already. Reynor's obviously at a hive. I think it's probably not a bad idea to continue upgrading and at least prepare for an ultimate late game. Here's Spirit once more, though, going in to try and snatch those bases over on the left side of the map. Planetary Fortress here gets denied for, I believe, the 4th time. And even though this is getting expensive, this base is almost mined out. So, Reynor's real only entrance right now into the Terran bases is over here in the bottom left. And I believe that Hydraling Bane is not the best unit composition for it. More command centers coming up. Ay. How many CCs are we on? 12? 12 plus 4, that's 16, plus 3 is 19. 19 with 8 going down, that's 27. 27 with... We have literally 30 command centers now. Unless I did my math wrong, and I may have missed one of the tabs over there, but there are about 30 command centers in a single game here. Here goes Reynor once more. He's trying to see if he can get rid of some of those CCs. Obviously, orbitals can fly, planetaries cannot. Math, by the way, while casting, very dangerous. I hope I did it correct. I can't wait to look at the comment section. Haha, he thinks 16 plus 3 is 19, and I'm like, what? I think it is! I'm pretty sure that's correct! Start second guessing yourself when you do any sort of math while it's very dangerous. Very risky. So, at what point do you think this game is over? Pick a number. Pick a number. What minute do you think this game is going to be over? I'm going to say... yeah, about 80% of the map is mined right now, I think. Maybe a little less, but soon it will be. I'm going to say minute 54. I don't think this is going to end anytime soon. Because once the map is running low, players will have to transition. Unless Reynor just decides to do a Hydraling Bane, which it kind of is looking like right now, which I'm actually not a big fan of here. I've got a feeling he's gonna have to change to something a little bit more longer lasting. My god! Dude, he just dropped like 20 mules on a single base. That's why that expansion over here mined out so quick, by the way. Killing SCVs right now is actually good. I don't think Spirit wants SCVs. Just enough for mining gas, but all the mineral mining can be done with mules. Another command center. Bro, we gotta stop. We gotta actually stop. If the average command center is like 550-ish resources, and you build 30 of them, I mean, more math is dangerous, but we're coming close to spending nearly 20,000 resources on command centers alone. That's too much. Like, that's genuinely too much. Then again, Spirit still has money in the bank, so that's the reason obviously he's doing it, right? Like, he's looking at his bank, he's like, yo, I'm rich. Like, I can make another 10. Doesn't matter. But you gotta compare it and put it in contrast to what Reynor has. Reynor has way more. He's gonna be able to constantly backstab over here. Yeah, I actually think Reynor's playing this out really nicely. He's not letting Spirit just sit there. I think you probably want to have about 12 orbitals. Maybe a little bit more. Like, probably 12 is about the upper limit. Not even so much for mining, but very much so for scanning. You can effectively remove the Fog of War anywhere you want. And with 12, you seem to be able to use it pretty much the entirety of the game long. Here we go again, though. This is a wonderful turtled up position. Tactical nuke in the meantime flies towards that base in the far top right, but I'm going to keep my camera over here for now. This is the biggest engagement we've had in the entire game. Nice splitties right there by the Polish Terran. Nuke does land in the far top right. 5 drones, though. Could have been killed by the Ghost itself. Spirit is thinking about retaliating right now. And keep in mind, he's only got a handful of SCVs. His army is absolutely massive. Ultras coming up? I mean, you can burrow, but obviously there's gonna be scans. That is the crossing my fingers and hope he didn't see burrow. He's making 9 SCVs at a time. That's a lot of SCVs. Yeah, I feel like maybe 40 to 50 SCVs is okay. I don't mind having less than that, though. I kind of feel like you have to go for the full bulldozer army before too long. Maybe I'm mistaken. I actually kind of thought he was ready to go deep onto the creep. Obviously, if we can jump into the main base and kill all of the tech, that's game over. One thing that I am missing here in Reynor's army is infestors. I feel like infestors are an absolute no-brainer at this phase in the game. Mostly because of the fact that Spirit can make a deep jump. He doesn't have much gas. You know what? Reynor is actually not very rich. Yeah, he can make Zerglings, but he can't really remax like this over and over and over again for much longer. Now, this is the first time that the Ultras are spotted. Blinding Cloud over here too. Obviously, there are Liberators. We also have Ghosts, but I don't know if it's enough to really snipe this many Ultras. More command centers are going down. And that's another whole load of SCVs down the drain. Spirit is going to retake this expansion one more time. Gonna land a bunch of mules. Now he's got his eyes set on this expansion, which Reynor, I think, if I can be critical, he should have been mining this base. He should have sent drones from his easier to mine expansions over here. This is very likely, this together with the opposite base on the other side of the map is very likely going to be the final bases on the map. I think Reynor should have sent drones in that direction to mine those out as quickly as possible. Like, he's always gonna get this one. He's always gonna get that one too. There's about zero reason to not send a drone in that direction to try and get rid of them. Obviously, he did send units there. Hellbats have been roasting them for some time. But now the minerals are looking mighty juicy. And Spirit is thinking the same thing. Now, Spirit's bank, his mineral bank, has depleted. Look at this. My interface literally cannot show you 4 digits worth of dead Zerglings. Planetary in a little bit of trouble over here, too. Zerglings running through the cracks. Now, finally, we have a Greater Spire coming up. Yeah, I think Reynor probably was thinking the game is over by, like, minute 30. I think that was the original plan. And now that that is not really the case, we are apparently shifting to something a little bit slower. Honestly, this base is a banger. Spirit is going to be able to mine this very rapidly if he drops around the mules. There's also certainly an upper limit to the amount of mules, obviously, that you can really drop here. This base is pretty much fresh. We have another command center or another mining base right over here, I guess, for Reynor now, but he's a little oversaturated. He really does need to send the drones out. Spirit doesn't have much money, but I like his army better than Reynor's. Reynor's still just mostly sitting at Ultras, Hydras, and Zerglings. Look at the spready over here, too, of the siege tanks, by the way. Like, this is a beautifully pre-spread Terran army. No way you're gonna overrun that with Zerglings. I mean, I say that, and he pulls all of his units together. Anyways, he's now denied the base in the far top right. Spirit is feeling the heat, though. Stimming everything in one big go upon seeing one Viper. I think the Ultras are kind of questionable. I think Brute Lords are significantly better. Swarmhost are garbage in this kind of setup. Mostly because the Marines will just gun them down real quick, and the Hellbats will kill them really quickly too. Plus, one of the issues you run into with Swarmhosts is that while they are on cooldown, they just don't do anything. And as soon as Spirit would see around a Swarmhost, the Locust would fly in, the Locust would get burnt, and he would be right inside of the bases of Reynor within seconds. So that's not really a unit he can go for, but I think if you want to go for a siege weapon, the Brute Lord makes way more sense. Well, I mean, multiple Brute Lords. I didn't mean one Brute Lord. One Brute Lord is going to do about as much as Swarmhost. If this was a full Turtle Terran mech army, like if this was a full mech army, then I think, yeah, Swarmhost would be actually quite good. Still a questionable choice, but much better than against Bio Terran. It's a little funky, actually, that Spirit is still playing Bio. Generally, Terrans will focus on something much slower. The later the game goes. Oh, we're moving. Oh, okay. He's mostly giving up, apparently, on his main base. Yeah, he's got a little bit of tech here, but he only cares about the unit-producing structures. We are actually moving. We're leaving our old home behind. We don't care about Christmas. We are never gonna see our old hometown ever again. Yeah, it's gonna come at the cost of a bunch of, well, random structures, and maybe we're gonna have to build a dozen supply depots again. But apparently we're leaving. I mean, I was kind of joking, Spirit, when I said earlier that it was a viable strategy to fly your command center to the corner of the map. I wasn't serious. Anyway. Ghost Academy 2.0 coming up. Yeah, Reynor has realized that this is indeed not a fake. I can almost see Reynor's frustrating face, dude, while he's playing this. Reynor definitely can look quite angry when he's playing games of StarCraft. And this, I think, is the worst type of playstyle that he does not want to play against at all. I don't believe he likes playing against this sort of thing at all, because there's very little interactivity, right? It's mostly just the win condition here of Spirit is to just sit. That's the whole game plan. He hasn't even seen the natural expansion, the third base, the fourth base, none of it. Spirit heard that there were tax benefits to going towards this side of the world, so that's where we're going instead. If Reynor was capable of throwing hand gestures at his monitor while playing, which is a little difficult to do when you are, you know, playing at like 600 average actions per minute, but the Italian in him would certainly be throwing hand gestures right now. Spirit, by the way, super nice guy. He cares a lot. I feel like a lot of people don't really value Spirit's game plan, or gameplay rather, nearly as highly as they should. He really is amongst the very best on the European server. And he does, like, that's the thing. He does not play for our entertainment. That goes for pretty much all the pro gamers. He is not here to play for our fun. He is here to win the game, and he believes this to be the best way to win. And that's totally viable. It's totally okay. He does not care if he only gets to play 4 games in one day of laddering. It is irrelevant to him. Oh, those abductions are actually really good, though. The spore crawlers here are super nice as well. Another command center is thinking about taking up this base. The entirety of the map is actually running out. Like, we are at a point where there is going to be 0 mining. And if we think about it, who is going to be ahead at that point? Spirit is taking the final mineral fields that he's ever going to get. Reynor still has more money in the bank. And he has a bit of mining over here too. Don't know where these drones are headed. Okay, we're going to go into the gas geyser. In a very strange way, this game could end in a draw. Now, I hate to say that, but both players benefit tremendously for sitting on their expansions, right? Like, they really benefit sitting close to their creep here as Zerg, and as Taran close to the planetaries, the static defense over here, and the missile turrets, the sensor tower, all the rest of it. The Brute Lords definitely are a unit that can engage. Same for the abduction, obviously, from the Viper. Like, those are the initiators in these fights. Spirit doesn't really have any of that. Also because he hasn't really been trying to get something like that. I think Reynor is probably gonna fish him to death at this rate, though. Like, he's just abducting unit after unit after unit. A lot of Brute Lords are gonna get countered here by the Thors, but at this point there's only 2. Spirit is trying to add on more into the mix. Neural Parasite is an absolute banger. Reynor now realizing that he never got that +3 missile upgrade. Fungal Growth has so much potential. Yeah, Brute Lord Infestor. I was wondering if he should have done this earlier. Reynor, I don't think he wanted to play like this, so he just sort of did it when he absolutely needed to, which is fair enough. But this is extremely hard for Spirit to break. Yeah, the transition here from Reynor was just barely in time, I think. But it was properly timed in the end. Some more minerals over here. The other bases are all entirely dried up. That means that with these final 255 minerals, Spirit is done. There's no more mining. So who wins? Spirit is not even maxed out. Spirit has gas in the bank, but he's not even maxed out. I don't think this is a winnable game for Spirit. It looked like it was going to be for just a little bit. He's got this amazing army. But Reynor is going to start making static defense now. I almost wonder if Spirit's best chances right now are to pull for a draw. And again, he would pull for that if he feels like he can get it done. I don't think that is going to be the case, though. Reynor has enough initiators here to keep this ball rolling. This choke point is not benefiting Spirit in any way, shape, or form. Those fungal growths are way too good. There's a lot of Zerg army still left on the ground as well. Spirit is flat broke. A man with dozens of command centers throughout this game now is flat broke. So let's actually see, what is the final tally here? We have 10 command centers at this point, 1 CC plus 6 plus 3. And then we have lost 14 planetaries, 6 orbitals, and 2 regular ones. I'm not even gonna try and add that together. I've done enough math for a single game. But that is a lot. And in an awkward way, too many. That's too many. Like, imagine we built half of that right now. Yeah, the scans would have been a little bit, but he would have had like an additional, what, like 16 command centers worth? He would have had an additional, like, on average, maybe 500 minerals or so per command center. Imagine that, seriously. He would be sitting at like a 5K, 4K bank. I don't know what I'm missing. I keep mentioning this, but every Terran player at the highest level keeps doing this. He also left his entire main base behind. That was also not cheap. He's built so much stuff. I really think there's actually like a... You know how like the average lottery winner apparently is broke again within like 2 years? I feel like that's what happens to Terran players when they play this style. They just pretend like they're never gonna run out of cash, and then at some point, the tax authorities start knocking at your door. You realize maybe you shouldn't have been giving all your money to your friends. Well, he's trying to make the best of it, but I just don't see this happening, man. Those fungal growths have been incredibly good. Reynor is dancing back and forth, but he's also making a statement here. Wow, GG gets cold. Yeah, he's making a statement here. Don't play this style against me. Alrighty, next up, we find ourselves on Ultra Love. Let's see. What do we change? Ultra Love is a much smaller map in general, at least as far as like the distance goes, right? You can't really turtle as easily. Yeah, I say that. You can still definitely turtle. I actually almost forget drinking water here. Do you think that's a frustrating game for Spirit? So the reason that game happened the way that it did is because Spirit wanted it to, right? Reynor was very clearly trying to put a stop to it, but Spirit just wanted to play it out that way. So you play the entire game in the way that you wanted to play it, and you lose. So, what do you, like, how do you change it at that point? What do you change, like, what do you adjust? That was the entire game plan. Obviously, there are small things that could have gone better, but I think broadly speaking, Reynor just had the better playstyle. Broadly speaking, actually, I mean, jokes aside, the Balance Council wanted to reduce turtling. I really don't think that turtling in this matchup is the best way to play. I feel like it's one of those strategies that Spirit has great success with on the ladder against all of the players outside of the absolute tippity top. Right? Like, yeah, it works fantastic until you go up against the top 5 in the world. And then maybe the top 10, maybe the top 20. I don't know. Anyways, at some point you face players that know how to handle it perfectly. And yeah, Reynor just shut it down. I mean, that was by no... I would like to see him try that sort of strategy against Serral. Reynor has been very good for a long time. I think right now he's probably not at his best playing state. I mean, he's been playing a lot of League of Legends, and in general, there's not as many tournaments as StarCraft 2 to play for. In some of the previous games that I've casted featuring Reynor, he just didn't look as crisp as I normally see him being. And I don't think that previous game was by any means a perfect game by him. I've got a feeling if Spirit would have tried something like that against Serral, it would just get dominated. Like, I don't think it would even be particularly close. If it was the very best playstyle to go for as Terran, we would probably see it more frequently from the likes of, for example, Clem. But we rarely do these days. It really seems to be like a last-ditch effort. The only player that I see playing Turtley as of late, that plays Terran as well, is Gumiho. But Gumiho does it off of Terran mech instead. So he plays like a mass battlecruiser style. And I think that can like mass mech into battlecruisers can maybe catch the opponent off guard. I'm not convinced that that playstyle is great. Maybe it's just really strong right now because nobody knows how to play against it because nobody ever plays it. But when you play a normal army composition and you play that turtle style, I feel like it's a lose-lose situation against the cream of the crop. Like, it would work great against me. Like, if you play against, I don't know, any of the StarCraft normies out there, it would work great. But when you go up against, well, one of the world's best, I just don't think it's a great strategy to play. Anyways, so we are mixing it up now. It is a triple CC opener once more. At least we don't have a super fast 4th command center. Keep in mind that one of the big changes to reduce Terran turtling, I mean, tongue-in-cheek, I mentioned the 1 armor reduction on the planetary fortress in the previous game. So the planetary now has 1 less armor than it did in the past. The real change is that the ghost is now 3 supply rather than 2. It means that you can't make mass ghost as easily. And it really has reduced the amount of turtling that we've seen a lot. Because, I mean, you want to make 20 ghosts. But now that means you're going to get 20 less marines as well than you ordinarily would in the past. So, yeah, maybe we're kind of stuck in our old ways here. Maybe it's time to play something a little fresher. Well, so far, all of this is very normal. Reynor is not really taking any chances. We should start up the +1 melee here. Lara's just done. Maybe the Baneling Nest is a bit late, if I'm being very critical. Spirit is ready for an attack here in a moment. Is he gonna go for... Ah. No, that's Barracks 4 and 5. Okay, I thought for a second we are gonna already go into Barracks 6, 7, and 8 here. Not quite the case. He can still definitely go for a 4th command center here if he wants to. I wouldn't mind seeing a triple command center, like 8 Rex all in. Armory, though, at the correct time. Gonna be able to go straight into the 2-2. Stimpack is already finished. Combat Shields is gonna wrap up here in just a moment. We have the +1/+1 as well on the horizon inside of the NG base. Bunch of Zerglings here waiting off to the side. Now they will commit. And this is some of those... Yeah, this is one of those plays that can actually win you the game straight up. Apparently, though, Spirit has decided he wants to double down on the aggression, try and take down the 5th. In the meantime, additional Zerglings are running across. Command Center on the ramp goes down. 5th Command Center, though, or the 5th Zerg hatchery, is skipped for now, as Spirit apparently has his eyes set on the 3rd base instead. Lings are now inside of the natural expansion of the Terran player. Okay. This feels more like it's Reynor's game, right? This is what Reynor likes to do. Constant counter-attacking, mass Zergling production. I actually quite like that Spirit decided to jump to the high ground and then went back to kill that hatch. I actually think that's the much better move. Problem is, he's not going to be home in time for dinner. Ling Bane is going to be engaging over here. Speed is now done as well on those Banelings. Terran army is awkwardly making its way back home. He decides to retreat once more. Well, retreat to the other side. 20 SCVs now down the drain. Yeah, this ain't it. And maybe this is also why we do see that turtle style. Because Reynor is extremely dangerous in a game like this. This is the type of match where you wonder, like, what does Clem do differently? Like, when Clem plays Terran against Zerg, he seems favored against everybody. Favored against Reynor, favored against Serral, favored against Dark, favored against everybody. What exactly does Clem do differently than Spirit here? Well, it's a lot of little things, right? A lot of game sense. I don't think Clem would really be caught off guard with the majority of his army on a base that doesn't matter that much. Either way, this is Spirit almost trying to mimic that style from Clem, but not quite achieving as much. Now, this is certainly not the end of the world. His army is still massive. He still actually has an army supply advantage. And this is a Ling Bane-based army, which is not particularly supply efficient at this phase in the game. No adrenal glands, none of that. Spirit never got to start up 2-2, or at least never finished it. Marine drop inside of the main base is good. Looks like it's gonna get cleaned up, and it is gonna go down. In the meantime, the 4th base here from the Zerg in a bit of trouble. A lot of queens here, awkwardly blocking all of the pathing. This is a fight deep onto creep. Spirit's army, though, still 8 supply bigger than that of the Zerg. He's got a couple of Liberators now, too. 2 more, just popping out of those starports now. He's slow pushing it. I quite like that he's slow pushing it. Usually this is when Reynor kicks in a counterattack. Decides to set up the Lingbane for now. Maybe he wants to go for a surround over here on all of these Terran units. Yeah, he wants to maybe come in from multiple angles, but I love the fact that the Hellbats are left behind. This is an excellent line of attack right now from Spirit. Reynor, though, setting up a massive surround, and my question is mostly, when is he going to pull the trigger? He's going to have to commit. This little counterattack over here is going to complicate things even more, and it forces Reynor to pull the trigger a little bit early. Siege tanks go into town, but not quite enough. In the meantime, though, the Marines on the right side do clean up a hatchery. And now Reynor has been reduced to, yeah, a reasonable economy, but nothing amazing. Spirit has been rebuilding his own, and he's all the way up to 50 SCVs again. This is really not that bad. I mean, the Marines going down over there is rough, but this is actually quite good for Spirit now. I wouldn't say this is a favorable spot for him, but I like it way better than a few minutes ago. Reynor doesn't yet have a hive done, and that's a big one, right? He really needs to get those adrenal glands upgrades. One NG bay coming up right now for Spirit. I don't know why we're building it over here. I hate everything about that position. He really needs to get 2-2 going ASAP. At least +2 attacks. Drop in the top left, by the way. Snuck all the way from the Terran's main base. Yep. And it's going to kill the new 4th base. In the meantime, Lingbane trying to engage planetary, or sorry, siege tanks. Target firing down all of those Banelings too. And while Reynor seems to be cleaning all of it up, the majority of the SCVs are still here. This was not an efficient fight for Reynor. Yeah. Fight over here. This is the Metavex that killed that base in the far top left. Bunch of Lings derping out against one of those supply depots. Marine drop in the main base is going to continue. Good pickup right there by Spirit. SCVs now get to return to mining once more. Medevac in the top left, once more being a nuisance. These are not terrible games. These are not terrible plays at all. I like it. Yeah, he did lose the NG bay, by the way. We really need to just build an NG bay over here. Maybe just complete the natural wall off again. And this puts Reynor in a bit of a funky position too. Is it worth going Hive now? Maybe. Adrenal Glands is phenomenal, but it's also not like he's got a lot of resources to play with. Again though, this is actually a really good attack by Reynor. He hits right when the Terran lifts up and gets on out of there. And this may actually seal the win. A lot of the Terran is on the other side of the map, fair enough, but he can make Banelings for defense at home. +2 melee is going to finish up. Reynor decides to just play this safely, apparently. Yeah, okay, he doesn't really want to take any chances. Sends the majority of his army back home. He knows that Spirit is caught on the other side of the map now. Leaves a bunch of Zerglings and Banelings behind over here to just finish up whatever he can hit. Army in the top left-hand corner for Spirit. The majority of his forces, though, are inside of the main base. He targets down the spawning pool. Keep in mind that there's nothing else for Reynor. He doesn't have a Hydra Den. He doesn't have anything else. Starts up another pool now inside of the natural expansion, but this is going to be like a minute of awkwardness. Does he have enough to clean up whatever the Terran player has brought across the map? Looks like the command center, by the way, got killed inside of the natural. Orbital command. Not supposed to go down. That should have certainly lifted. Okay. A messy game. A messy game. But still, certainly an advantage here for Zerg. Yeah, Spirit now only at 34 workers. He decides to tap out. GG. Okay, next up, we find ourselves on ley lines. It's a double barracks opener this time around from Spirit, which actually puts a little bit of pacing out for him on the map. I like it. I feel like overall, Reynor has been the driver's seat of this game the entire time, this entire series. He's just been the one deciding whatever gets done, right? And it's up to Spirit to respond. This is very much so Spirit taking control. Now, it is going to be a triple hatch again for Zerg. No surprise there. The nice thing about this sort of opener for Terran is that it's very safe against practically everything. There is certainly an upper limit to the amount of Reapers you want to produce. If you make like 5, there are some vulnerabilities because sometimes your Stimpack upgrade is a bit too late, but triple Reaper is really quite good. Great grenade. Taking Brenda for a little walk. Yeah. Come on, Brenda. Come on. You know what? Karen is not too far behind either. Lovely micro here by Spirit. Yeah, it's important to take your queen out on a walk every once in a while. It's just frustrating when the queen gets stuck underneath a car and she doesn't want to come out. You're like, Brenda, come on! Brenda, we got places to be. Gets another queen, though. It is going to come at the cost of every single one of the Reapers, but 2 queens for 3 Reapers? That's a great beginning here for Spirit. And almost a little bit mean. Yeah, I will come out and say that it is almost a little bit mean. We're doing a big switcheroo on everything, apparently. Now, yeah, Starport coming up. We're not even going to go into Stimpack. He's literally got no units. This is a bit awkward now. Oh, God. Reynor going in with a counterattack. I feel like he's going to be able to kill the Starport. Good targeting here by the Italian Zerg. Awkward rebuilding of a wall off here. Hellions are going to pop in just a moment. This is why you make a few Marines, just in case. Lucky here for Spirit, he did start up the Hellions in time, because that could have been really weird. Third command center in the meantime done. And this has really taken the wind out of the Zerg's early game. Spirit is gonna, yeah, now not play against nearly as much creep spread, not nearly as many queen injects. Killing the 2 queens really does slow the Zerg player down. Reynor forced to rebuild them. They're now a little bit more expensive, of course, too, with the latest balance patch. 25 minerals each. Not a huge deal. But it is going to slow everything Zerg down a lot. And you know what? That means Spirit can do whatever he likes to do. Now, what do you think he likes to do? Do you think it's going to be a Hellbat Banshee all-in? Do you think he's going to try and do like a sneaky drop inside of the opponent's main base? I've got a feeling that this is the perfect opportunity to build another command center. Now, we are going to try. Roast a bunch of drones. And try we do. And successful we are. 9 of them in total. 4 Hellions. All right. No, I don't believe Spirit is going to all in from here. I highly, highly doubt it. Cloak is going to finish up in just a moment, so any sort of counterattack here is going to be quite good. Quite easy to hold. Spirit, though, is going to be using them aggressively for now. Stimpack coming up. We can play more tower defense here. This is a very easy game to transition towards tower defense. A lot of people have different favorites in the StarCraft world. I always like element tower defense in the arcade. I think it's very fun. But there's a lot of different flavors of tower defense. Spirit's favorite version of tower defense is 1v1 ladder. Yes. Terran versus Zerg is his favorite way of playing tower defense. Now, we're not going there yet. No, we're not going there yet. He's going for barracks 4 and 5. He could go into barracks 6, 7, and 8. And really try to go for an all-out assault. Problem is, the Hellions went down earlier, and that means that the creep spread is going to go unchecked. He did build a bunch of Hellions again, but if you go for an 8-Rex all-in, you really do need to shut down the creep as much as possible. Because Zerg is just going to have a way easier time. Reynor once more going into the good old Ling Bane. No surprise there. He's got a chance to win the series right here in this particular game. So he could also go for a couple all-ins, honestly. I wouldn't mind that, but yeah, when you have a shaky early game, and this is lovely harassment here by Spirit. When you have a shaky early game like this one, maybe even a shaky mid game now, it really does slow everything down. And there we go. Spirit goes into a 4th command center. He's building a 2nd factory. We should see barracks 6, 7, and 8 in a moment. Then we're probably going to see a Ghost Academy too. And then we can go into another command center. And we can go into another command center. And then we go into double factory in addition to the ones we already have. Okay. Now that's a little curious. Two things is what it could be. First off, we could go into Terran mech from here. Judging by the fact that we have one of them. Yep, and Barracks 6, 7, and 8 right now. This is actually for mass siege tank production. So, mass siege tank into mass upgrades into mass command center. Hope you got yourself a drink. I have my 2-liter water bottle. Don't know if I'm going to be able to empty it before the end of the series, but I think we'll be here for a bit. It could also be that Spirit accidentally made a third factory, and that he didn't mean to yet. No, he meant to. Ah, he definitely meant to. Hive coming up here for Reynor. +2/+2 has now also begun. Same on the other side of the map. Reynor once more, gooping up the entire map with as much of his creep as possible. Spirit still has some army, may as well. Okay. It is going to be very difficult, though, for Spirit to win 3 games in a row against Reynor. I feel like nobody really feels good playing 3 games back to back to back against Reynor. Winning all of them, not an easy task. There's the additional barracks, by the way, now finishing up. We don't yet have a Ghost Academy. I'm expecting that one in a moment. Yep, there it is. Thank you for making me look good. Ghost Academy here is good because you don't really know exactly what the Zerg late game is going to be like. But you at the very least want to have the option to make ghosts. It's good against everything, except for, I guess, Hydraling Bane, which seems to be what Reynor is going for now. But if it would be Ultras or Brute Lords or Lurkers or, I don't know, Mass Infestor, Mass Viper, whatever, right? Like, in all those situations, Ghosts are going to be handy. Against pure Hydraling Bane, it's not so good. The command center explosion has begun. Actually, no, this is not Klim. I don't know what it would be in Polish. I'm assuming the Polish word for command center is about 30 characters long with about 2 vowels in it. That's what every Polish word looks like to me. It probably has a bunch of those all in a row. Nobody knows how you pronounce that. Maybe it's not that bad. But whenever I see Polish written on the internet, it does look like there's not enough vowel to make up for the word. Anyways, I say this as a Dutchman. Not the most beautiful... Like, let's just say that Dutch is not the most... I'm just kidding. It's the most beautiful language in the world. I will not take any Dutch slander. Ghost coming up. And command center's coming up. Now, here's the real question. Do you think we are going to see more command centers this game than we did in game number 1? We saw about, I think, 32. We are currently at a grand total of 2 + 2, that's 4. We are at 7, 7 with 4 more. We're already going up to 11. We have a Ghost Academy once more, producing tactical nukes. The big difference here for Spirit, compared to the first game in this series, is that he went into this late game being quite comfortable and quite far ahead. Now, I think Reynor, immediately upon falling behind, assumed that this was going to be Spirit's playstyle, because he just skyrocketed straight to triple digits worth of workers, and he's just gooped up the entire map as quickly as possible. Reynor didn't even really consider that there would be some sort of 8-Rex all-in or anything along those lines. So Reynor just effectively hard countering this after falling behind is actually putting him in a really nice position, but it is one of those spots that is a little bit vulnerable. Starport 2.0. Fusion Core coming up. I'm assuming this is not for battle cruisers like we would see from Gumiho. This should just be for liberators with ranged. But only time will tell. Okay, we have a bunch of ghosts going around the site. I don't think there's really a whole lot you can achieve here. Yeah, Reynor's just gonna start fishing again. I don't mind it. Now, I'll be uploading this video on YouTube in a few days after casting it. And maybe a fun little bit of backstory is that I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and cast this series. Because in about an hour and a half or so from now, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is releasing. And I'm very excited for the game. I figured I could cast a best of 5 series. I figured I could do it before the game would release. What was I thinking? A Spirit series in an hour and a half? A best of... No, Lowko. This is a lovely attack, though, by Reynor. Right before a bunch of those command centers are finishing up, too. Yeah, quite costly. Look, I'm a gamer in the end, okay? I like playing video games. What are you gonna do about it? You're gonna make fun of me for enjoying video games? I guess that's okay. I think that's fair. This is now factory number 4 coming up. More and more command centers getting queued. Blue flame upgrades. Ranged upgrade for the Liberators. Guys, we are here for another 45-minute game. Reynor is not here for it, though. Reynor wants to get this over with before that point, it seems. Which is actually a little risky. I mean, I say that. The man currently has 14,000 resources in the bank. And he is just running Zergling after Zergling all around the map. He's trying to deny this base already over and over and over again. And this isn't even one of the outer bases yet for Spirit. Generally, we don't see aggression until the expansion to the right of it in this particular spawn location is taken. Nice counter attack here, though, by Spirit. It is funny. I'll keep this in mind next time, okay? Next time I'm thinking about casting a... So the thing is, Spirit actually changed his playstyle for a little bit. This is what Spirit used to do a couple years ago. And then he actually became a lot more aggressive. I mean, aggressive-ish. He tried to end games much earlier. I think Spirit a year ago, when he got an advantage like the one that we just now saw, would have built some sort of push and at least tried to obtain the victory right then and there. But Spirit believes that this is the way to win. Again, completely fair. But it is certainly taking the wind out of his own sails a little bit. At some point, you kind of just start coasting. And I don't believe that this really is. I want to believe that it's the best playstyle, but I don't think this is really the best way to approach playing against the very best Zergs on the planet. Like, look at the minimap right now. How in the world is Spirit going to obtain the victory here in the long run? Like, what's the play? He needs this base, he needs that base, and then he needs one more. Either the top left or the bottom right. If Reynor gets 50% of the map plus 1 base, that means that Spirit gets 50% of the map minus 1 base. It depends, obviously, on each map, because some maps have more bases than others, but there's no shared expansion on this one. You would end up with... Like, you need half the map in order to obtain the victory here. Yeah, Reynor's never gonna trade efficiently. But he doesn't need to. Like, as long as he has more than half of the map mining, like, these trades have been more than good enough. I don't really believe that this is a winnable strategy for Spirit. I mean, it was really quite close in the first game. And I think it could have looked very different if he didn't build literally more than 30 command centers. Like, 32 command centers, I think, is what we totaled up in the end. But he's already lost 10 command centers again. That is a lot. 10 CCs have already been cancelled and gone down. We already have how many? 18 then, 18. We have 3 more over here, so we're already up to 21. He's building 4 additional ones. We're going 25 CCs. 25! That's a lot of command centers. I think what Spirit is going to try and do is do the slow creep again. Try to slowly crawl his way. Planetary fortress after planetary fortress in the direction of those outer expansions. Reynor transferring drones, by the way, towards the one in the bottom right. I like it. I think he should do the same thing for the expansion in the top left. One of those bases is needing to belong to Spirit if Spirit wants to obtain the victory. He needs one of those two bases for certain. So if Reynor can mine out those corner bases, I think in the long run, it's always a winning strat. Spirit kind of trying to play a campaign mission right now, you know? You hold on against the Zerg for a half hour and Matthew Horner comes in with the Hyperion to save everybody. This is the mission where he unlocks the bunker. It's like mission 3 of the Wings of Liberty campaign. This is not it, Spirit. It's not what we're doing. In a weird way, Spirit is kind of broke. He's got... I mean, he invested in real estate. That's what he's done. Yeah, he's got a lot of real estate all over the map. And he's got incredible income potential. But he's kind of broke. He keeps investing, man. Look at him. Spirit is that guy in every capital city that owns like 25% of all the houses. He's got so much, but at some point you'd imagine it's too much, man. Like, why do you need more? How many apartments does one man truly need? He's like, no, I must own another complex. I need another building. Spirit is trying to create generational wealth in like a 30-minute series or a 30-minute game. Maybe the generations go quick where he's from, but Okay, jokes aside, he's actually not in a bad spot by any stretch of the imagination. I just don't know if it's a winning condition. We're just making more. It's just full. I can't believe he's just playing full tower defense. That's so funny. Reynor's a man of the people. He's trying to open up some real estate again. Now, not because he's doing it out of the goodness of his own heart, but because he wants to gobble up the bases of himself. Anyway, Spirit is moving on over one siege tank and planetary fortress at a time towards half of the map. As soon as he's taking control, though, of the bottom right-hand corner, a lot of supply of the Terran is caught in that area. Reynor swoops in the top. This hatchery over here is also one that Spirit should be able to acquire as time goes on. Another planetary fortress does go down. It's too many, dude. He's making... I can't believe we still have command centers coming up. 13 command centers have gone down at this point in time. We have another, what is this, 12, we have another 14, 15. We have so many command centers. Cheeky little Zergling, blocking the expansion. It's blocked. Maybe if somebody has Spirit on Steam, maybe you can like... Maybe somebody can gift him like City Skylines 1 and 2. Maybe get it out of his system. It's like 20 bucks. I think they're good games. They're really fun. Next time around, Spirit is trying to do like an earthquake on the other side of the map. He's trying to figure out how to get the natural disasters to go off in the game. Trying to get a fire to break out on the side of the Zerg. He's laying down a little road, making sure the highway is a roundabout, because it's the most effective way to get traffic to move along. Okay, so is this a winnable game for Terran? I don't know, dude. I think we just have rinse and repeat, similar to what we had in game number 1 here for Reynor. I don't believe that this is a winnable game. Maybe if you make the one bulldozer army Or you can suddenly catch the Zerg player off guard and jump into their main. But I feel like this is setting himself up for failure. Which is not what you need to do. Like, survival is not the goal. Now, there is a chance, I guess, with this type of late game that the real win condition is to get Reynor's computer to overheat. Or maybe for Reynor to lose focus. And for him to, yeah, suddenly disconnect. Right? Maybe Reynor needs to take a little nap after this. Very possible. Maybe it's like that MaxSpec series where MaxSpec needed to go AFK for a little bit because he had bread in the oven. I mean, it's real. I don't think Reynor's a bread baker, but maybe he at some point needs to leave, you know, and then loses all focus. Maybe that's the goal here for Spirit. Well, he is slowly but surely, though, gobbling up 50% of the map. Hydra's now joining in the fray as well, just to be a little bit more annoying on this side of the map. This expansion is a critical one. Again, I would love to see Reynor transfer drones over there. Yeah. It's not going to achieve much. Nah. This base is gonna go down immediately. Reynor decides to go for the counterattack. Spirit, you have still got about 800 minerals. That's enough for one more command center at least. Maybe two more? He starts up more command centers! Spirit, stop! Spirit was a joke. Another CC falls up north. We actually have just a ludicrous amount of command centers. $20 CCs have died this game. 3 in production, that's 23. He's got another 12. Seriously. That's more command centers than we had in that 45-minute game 1. By the way, if you guessed 45 minutes, you were right. I think it was about 45. We've had about 1.5 command centers a minute in this game right here. Yeah, that's not bad. Maybe Spirit is one of those real estate entrepreneurs who's turning into a philanthropist right now, you know? Like, he's donating tactical nukes. He's giving Marines to the poor. He's hiding ghosts under people's beds. There's a lot of opportunities here for him to do nice things. Reynor doesn't want any of it, though. I have not seen anything like this before, actually. Not in a very long time. This is the most extreme tower defense that I have seen in at least a year of StarCraft. Now, there is going to be a moment where I think Reynor has to transition. He's been playing Hydraling Bane with a couple Vipers now for a while. At some point, when he starts running low, we will once more need to see a transition towards Infestors and Brute Lords. He's skipping the Ultras that he did in game number 1. Yeah. Decides to back off over there. I mean, credit where credit is due. Spirit is actually not opting for the base over here, but he's decided that he wants this expansion down south instead. I don't know if that's an easier one to control, because immediately, when he sets his eyes over there, another planetary falls on the other side of the map. This is starting to look like a SpongeBob episode now, yeah. 4 hours later. And the Zerglings are running in! Another command center gets planted down. Much later. Command center flies on over towards the last mineral line. He's got it. SCV has been tasked with repairing a CC back up to full. Yeah, I think that pretty much sums up everything that needs to be said. I don't see, even though Spirit has now achieved his goal of finally taking this part of the map, I do not see how this is ever going to be a favorable game for him. And he must have a lot of success with these strats when he practices them. But there's just not really, like, again, he could win this, right? Like, it's very winnable. But it does require a couple of major screw-ups from Reynor. Now, those aliens are they're having a grand old time. Hellbets. Ooh, yep. Burn him. Burn him to a crisp. Hydra Bane coming in this direction now, too. Another command center will attempt to finally set up this expansion over here. In the meantime, we had a Zergling run by, heading on over towards the main base now of Spirit. In the previous games, we saw Spirit leaving this area alone. He may actually choose to lift up all barracks again and send them towards his newly acquired bottom right-hand corner. Still though, Reynor moving in. He does lose a hatchery at the 6 o'clock. Looks like the Liberators are tasked with cleaning this up together with the Ghosts. 19 Ghosts. That's actually a tremendous amount, but it's 60 army supply. Like, that's a ton. Like, more than half of the armies, no, not quite more than half, but like a very substantial chunk of Spirit's army supply is Ghosts. And Ghosts are great against Brute Lords and Ultras and all the rest of it, but this is pretty much all Hydraling Bane. Not a very useful unit against that type of army at all. This is the most mats, by the way, that I've ever done in any series ever. And I feel like I've done pretty much all of it correctly. We need to stop. Like, I need to go out on a high, you know? Like, this is... It's bound to go wrong if I keep doing mats now. We should stop. Couple banelings over here! Hey! Yeah, now we scan. Yeah, that, you know, that is one of the scans of all time. So, yeah, we've arrived at minute 30. Reynor still has the entire map gobbled up. Spirit has now been punched, but we're making new barracks? Spirit, this is not where we're headed, dude. Spirit, we don't need new barracks. Like, this is arguably the last thing we need. There's no money. You have no resources. You know what we need? Cancel the barracks, make one more no, don't make another command center, I'm kidding. Zerglings going in around the back. Zerglings going in around the front. Zerglings going in around the side. That's a lot of cloaked ghosts, though. Hope you're not afraid of ghosts. I mean, this is probably the best fight Spirit has taken so far, though. Those ghosts are having a grand old time. When they're all split up and that far back. Reynor's been trying to end this for the last 25 minutes. Yeah, okay. He gets the job done in the end now with the ghosts going down. I understand what Spirit was going for in this series, and I do enjoy the playstyle from time to time, but I really don't think it is the way to go against one of the very best in the world. It's Reynor who obtains the victory, 3-0.